Hey, my
Woohoo.
friend. Yeah, I am pleased to be joining you today with my good friend Kim Gray. And Kim is, I want to first of all point to your friends behind you, Kim. Those are Kim's monsters, and we will get to know them a little bit better in our conversation later today. Kim has came to me, gosh, what, about a year, maybe a year and a half ago, and wanted some help with her story. And we worked together. I went through the process. I got to know Kim a little bit better, hear about her experiences with the military, and then transitioning into civilian life, and then finding her marketing voice and kind of how to navigate that space. Since 2007, she has helped over 300 clients slay their fears around networking in big groups, boost their confidence to connect with prospects, and show up online with savvy and skill. So welcome, Kim. How is that for an introduction? Is there anything you'd like to add to that?
Well, Steve, you're right. We did come together a few years ago, and you were helping me with my story. And storytelling is an art. And from being with you, I've learned not everybody can tell a story, and sometimes you don't know which story to tell. Because our lives have so many stories, and you were absolutely instrumental in helping me to figure out which ones were the best ones to tell at the right time. And so, yes, it's been over 300 coaches, but it's really coaches and introverts, because that's a very specific audience and they have very specific needs. So, but yes, thank you for that introduction.
Absolutely. So Kim, tell me, why introverts?
Well, I live and breathe it. And it took me 40 years to figure out that I was an introvert. There were so many things in my life that didn't feel right. There were so many opportunities that came up that for me it didn't mesh. I couldn't figure out why these opportunities kept showing up, but I couldn't step into them and feel comfortable in them. And it wasn't until I became an entrepreneur, opened my doors for business, and still felt like this doesn't feel right. And then I came across the most amazing book ever. Here we go. Networking for People Who Hate Networking. I could not believe someone wrote this book. And Dvorak spoke to me and said, networking was designed for extroverts. If you're an introvert, no wonder it doesn't. I was like, the heavens opened, the angels started singing. I was like, yes, this is me. And I stopped worrying about being all things to all people and be true to myself.
Absolutely.
And then I figured out there's a lot of other folks out there trying to be everything to everybody. And I jumped on my soapbox and I started to embrace working with introverts.
So tell me, what do you mean? I think we all probably have an idea of what an introvert is, but what do you mean by an introvert?
Steve, it's so funny when I ask people if they're an introvert or an extrovert, they act like it's a disease. Well, I'm not always, so whatever. Look, if you go and spend the day around groups of people and you say, I need a break, I need some fresh air, I need a nap, chances are you're an introvert, because they just sapped all the energy out of you and you have nothing left, right? And at the end of a day, especially with Zoom now, okay, so for you would think the Zoom would be perfect for an introvert, but honey, after a few meetings, I need a nap. Even on Zoom, I don't want the phone to ring, I don't want nothing. I just need to be by myself and I'm good with that, So if you have that kind of energy or that kind of environment where you say, I need to go into my quiet space, chances are you're an introvert. It doesn't mean that introverts can't speak. We're great public speakers. Get us on a platform where you got to put the butts in the seats and they're coming to hear me speak, and I know they're there to hear me speak, oh, honey, the extrovert is all over the place. But in between that, I'm at the house, I'm in my pajamas, I'm chilling until that next meeting.
Yes. And that's, I think, one of the things, misconceptions about introverts. And by the way, I'm an introvert too. And while I love interacting with people, having these conversations and, just helping people out, and, at the end of the day, I want to just be alone. I just want to be just leave me alone and let me just kind of recharge my batteries, right? Which makes things a little bit interesting when I live in a household of 7 people right now. No, I'm not. The positive thing about that is that just about every one of those 7 is also an introvert. So we're all in the same house, but we're all in our own little corners, reading or, messing with our phones or whatever we're doing. And, we come together for a few minutes and then we go our separate ways again. And it's not that we don't like each other. I mean, I think we've got a pretty good relationship with each other, but we all need our space. We all need to be able to recharge and reconnect and just really tap in. So tell me about this convergence between introversion and marketing. How does that work? How do you get your message out there if getting your message out there sometimes takes all your energy?
We each need to find the one thing we love to do and turn that into the vehicle for which we use to market our business. And there's like a list of activities available. What happens is, as an introvert, we can get sucked into this whirlwind, believing what everybody else says they're doing and has been successful for them. And I say to my folks, but they may be extroverts. And for them, doing all of this is great. But for you, it might not work. So let's figure out what it is you love to do. And there are like 4 or 5 things that introverts love to do. Can you think of one?
Well, the thing that I was thinking about while you were saying that was writing for me.
Yep. So writing is one of the things that introverts love to do because we don't have to worry about anybody else's opinion. It's my story. I tell it how I want to. And it's so non-judgmental. So I could just share it and I don't really care about feedback. Another one, so we could do writing, which means we could do newsletters, we could do blog posts, right? We can write articles. And if you're going to do it, I say, then let's just do it consistently and lay out a plan. Each month, maybe you do 1 newsletter. Each month, maybe you do 1 blog post. But when you do the post, tell the world that you posted it. So you can't just leave it on your post, on your blog. You got to go into your social media and you got to tell them that it's there. You got to go into your LinkedIn profile. So if you put it on your website, then you got to link into all your other social media places and just tell them it's there. That's all you have to do. And if that's all the marketing you do for your business, then that's it, right? So figure out what is it you love to do. I have others who love to do Facebook Lives, or they want to do podcasting. Great. Let that be your thing. Just make a plan that you're consistently going to do it and show up when you say you will. And then tell the world that you did, So that's one of the things that introverts are great at, is find what you're great at, but then step it up and then tell the world how great you are and that you've put this information out there, because they are not just going to show up on your website or your blog. They're not going to. You need to tell them that that's where it is.
Absolutely. You bring up an interesting point in that when I think about Facebook Lives, like we're doing right now, and like I've honestly been doing on my own page for the last 24 days, I usually think of that in terms of that's more of an extrovert activity than an introvert activity. But the way that you just expressed it has me rethinking that. Are there introverted activities and extroverted activities, or are there just different approaches to the same activities?
It's the same activity. It just depends upon who's using it. So an extrovert may publicize more in more places because they feel they've got to be everywhere and be everything.
Mm,
And an introvert could do the exact same activity and just be consistent in one place, maybe three. It depends
mm,
upon their social media. So we always need to figure out where's our audience. And that's where we want to be. We don't have to be anywhere else. So if your audience is on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, I don't think so. Figure out where your audience is, and then that's where you need to be.
mm.
And so, yes, there are a lot of activities. It just depends upon how you approach it from whether you are introvert or an extrovert.
Okay. So being an introvert doesn't prevent you from showing up, doing a Facebook Live, or from, I don't know, getting up on a stage. It just means that you probably approach it from a different angle. When I think about that, I think about one of the speaking trainings that I went to. The leader of that present, and she would do these 3-day events where we're all speaking on stage the whole time. And of course, she's speaking on stage a lot of the time. But when she wasn't on stage, she made a beeline directly to her hotel room and said, okay, leave me alone while I'm, recharging my batteries. So I mean, on stage, she's this really powerful presenter and getting out there and sharing her story and being really magical on the stage. But as soon as that's over, she's gone. She's like, leave me alone. And it wasn't because she didn't like people. She just needed that space in order to recharge.
One of the things I love about conferences, when we were doing things live and we would go to these live workshops or conferences, I always appreciated that they had quiet space because they knew that they were going to be introverts in the audience that needed to go sit down and be away from others. I so appreciated that they took that into consideration. Absolutely. You do need that recharge. Now we have those electric cars. I feel like an electric car that I need to go plug in somewhere, and just chill until I can recharge my battery. That's how I feel like an electric car. I expend. Now I need to plug in and be alone.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. And I totally resonate with that. One of the things that I do on a daily basis is use a 750words.com website. And one of the things that site does is provides lots of data about what I've just written. And one of the things that it tells you is, did I write as an introvert or did I write as an extrovert? And 95% of the time it says that I've written from the point of view or from, and I don't even know how it works. I don't know what's under the hood, but it almost always says that it's written as an introvert rather than an extrovert. Although the extrovert does show up occasionally. So it's not like this either or. There's a tendency, like as I have seen using that site, that for me, the vast majority of the time, I'm showing up as an introvert, not as an extrovert. And so and I think about those conferences too, and different events where sometimes those gatherings can have a preponderance and abundance of extroverts who just have lots of energy, and kind of look at you like if you want to be away and have some space and so forth, like, I don't know, like you've got horns or something, or and I don't remember, do you remember the percentage of the world, the population that's introverted and the percentage that's extroverted?
You would be surprised that a larger percentage of the world are introverts.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And it just seems like there's a lot of extroverts because they're everywhere, but it's a smaller percentage of people are extroverts. True to nature, 90%, 100% of their time, right? And it just seems like there's a lot of them, but it's the same ones. It's the same ones and they're everywhere. But the majority, nope, are not extrovert. And again, it's really tapping into the passion. And an introvert can be just as passionate as an extrovert. We are very passionate people. We're also very self-aware. And that's what allows us to say, I need some space, right? For me. And we also are passionate about other people creating and finding their space, creating and finding their voice, creating and finding their purpose. That's what I love about introverts is we're very human, humanity connected because we understand ourselves. And we want others to have the same sort of peace and serenity and tapping into who they are.
Wow.
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's
Definitely.
a great perspective. So you mentioned that you were around 40 when you discovered that you were an introvert. So you were kind of I'm sure you were an introvert the whole time. It's just you weren't aware that you were an introvert. How often does that happen for your clients? And, what does that awareness do for them?
So a lot of times for my clients, so here's how it shows up to me that they're introverts. I'll say, so how long have you been in business? How do you get business? 90% will say word of mouth and referrals. And so that's the reason why they say they don't market or do marketing, because they get all their business from other people's testimonials, referrals, things like that. And so I always ask them, so what happens when the referrals run dry? What do you do? Okay, now it's time to do marketing. And I say, yeah, And that's when people feel like all you want to do is reach into their pocket. So what we need to do is create an environment where you're sharing data, sharing information when you don't need their business. And then when you do, it's not because that's the only reason you reached out. But throughout the year, you're sharing relevant information that they can use. And sure, there's a link for them to go to your site and register for or get on your list, but that's not the main reason why we're reaching out. So that's what I tell my clients, and that's what I help them do. Let's figure out ways that you can provide support, information, opportunities for folks to learn more about or do more with their circumstance. And then they can make a purchase if they want to. But you need to show up as that person, that go-to person. Who is that go-to person you want to be known as? And then let's have you show up on a regular basis as that person.
Okay. So it sounds like that's both strategic in terms of, activity, and maybe the flip side of that is strategic as far as energy management as well, right?
Definitely strategic and intentional. Because if we don't think about I need a sale, we have to pay the bills. So why not set up yourself intentionally knowing I want a sale if that's the right person? Because I tell you, introverts are snobs too. We don't want, we know we can't work with everyone and we don't want to work with everyone. We know there's a specific person that's ideal for our business, right? So intention is all about who are we trying to connect with, and then sharing the information and letting people decide whether or not they're going to use it. And eventually they end up in your mailbox saying, hey, I need your help. I've been reading your column. I've been watching your podcast, listening to your podcast, and you touched something the other day for me. And see, that's what happens is you need to, if we're out there on a consistent basis, one way or another, people will plug in and say, I need to work with you because of something you said. Maybe it was a few months ago. And you know what, Steve, what's funny to me is when I'm working with my clients on their campaigns, it's so funny how they have a certain mindset around, this is how I'd like it this is how I want to show up. And this is how I'd like folks to engage with me. And then it happens somewhere else, right? It's so funny. And I'll say, you know what? We're not going to worry about that. We did the work. The business is coming over here. It's not coming where you expect it. And that's the part I love. It's like, let's just generate the energy. and then the business will come. We don't even care how it shows up. It's just going to show up.
You know, you saying that reminds me of, honestly, when you came to me about wanting help with your story, it had probably been a few months since we'd had any kind of, at least a really evident communication with one another. You know, you were in my group, I was in your group, and, you know, we'd had a conversation or two. And, you know, and then for me, the way it showed up was like, I don't remember how you reached out to me, whether it was on Messenger or email or whatever, but you said, you know, you wanted some help with your story. And I'm like, of course, you know, I'm happy to help you. But it wasn't like, you know, I wasn't out actively seeking you out, you know, and saying, hey, Kim, you know, let's come in here and, you know, we really need to work on your story. It was just, I kept on doing what I was doing, and whatever happened on your side happened, such that you saw you had the desire to reach out to me and ask for some help with the story, which I thought was awesome. You know, and that it's so true that, you know, we really don't know. It's hard to identify exactly how these relationships develop and grow the way that they do. You know, it's, as you're saying, being open to them happening the way that they happen.
It's like we connect with the people that resonate with us, and we say, I like that person. I like how they show up, and I want to connect with them, and I want to stay connected. And we never know. Nope, that's not true. I knew I needed some help with my story. I had connected with a few other folks around my story, and it was a journey. And then I found that you were very approachable and available in ways that worked for me. So when I was ready to explore my next story journey, you were the one that I said, you know what, let me just tap into Steve and see if he can help me get this done.
Wow. Awesome. Well, I'm glad that worked out that way. I was delighted to help you, and delighted to help your story come to fruition. We mentioned early on in our conversation the friends that you have behind you. Can you tell us a little about who we see in your background there?
Okay, so these are my marketing monsters. And I came up with the 5 of them because there was always, these guys are confidence zappers. And for an introvert, a lot of times our marketing savvy is zapped because of our lack of confidence in one of these areas. And I came up with them because it happened for me, and it still happens for me, and it happens for my clients. And so I want to introduce you to them, but I also want to let you know that because there's such a need for introverts to kind of kick these guys to the curb, I also designed the Marketing Monsters Academy. And so they are the stars in my Marketing Monsters Academy. But what happens is we learn strategies and techniques for kicking them to the curb so they stop becoming the monsters under the bed. So I'm going to start with the most relevant confidence zapper is Rennie. And Rennie is the procrastination monster. And I don't care who you are. If you have a lack of confidence in your business, in your life, you're going to procrastinate doing what you know you need to do. It's either I don't want to do it, or I don't know how to do it. So Rennie is the procrastination monster that when we learn why are we procrastinating? Is it because I don't know how to do it, or I don't want to do it? And whichever one that is, then we need to look at some strategies to, if you don't want to do it and it needs to get done, then how do we make it happen? And if I don't know how to do it, then you need to either learn how to do it or get someone to help you get it done, right? Because it still needs to happen. And if you say, I don't know how to do it, but I'm willing to learn, then let's get you the learning you need so that you can kick it to the curb. If you're not marketing your business, you're not going to make money on a regular basis. It's going to be a hit or miss. You're going to be shooting from your hip forever. All right. So learn how to market in a way that works for you so that you can stop procrastinating the growth of your business.
Hmm.
How's that one? What do you think?
That was good. Like,
This one is Gabby. Now, remember I said that introverts are snobs, and I apologize if that's not a great word, but I'm sorry, it is. If you're not a snob about who your ideal client is, you have to be a snobbish about who it is you can work with to get them the right results, okay? That's what I'm saying. You can't work with everybody to get the results you want for them. And as a coach, we don't drive that bus. All we can do is say, where is it you want to go? And let's see how we can get you there. But you drive that bus. And Gabby said, shoot, I paid for a great website. Shoot, if they want to know me, they can go to my website, they can click on a link, they can schedule that discovery session, and we're good. And I say, Gabby, that's not enough. Gabby says, well, I don't know where to find them. So let them find me. So if Gabby is the monster that keeps showing up saying, I don't know how to find my people, then stop procrastinating and let's figure out how to find your people. Because the website alone is not going to do it.
Nice.
Yes. All right. Then, then we have Avery. Avery is my technology monster. Now, Avery's going to show up in one of two ways. Either you're tech savvy and you're getting overwhelmed with all these amazing toys, or you're not tech savvy and you're sticking with pencil and paper. Avery has been my monster because, you know, we always get the email that says, you got to have this. It's the biggest, the best, the newest, whatever. I figured out I'm going to find a system that works for me and allows me to grow in my business. I may not need all the bells and whistles to start, but I need enough that it's integrated enough that I can go to one place, I can go to one customer service group, and they're going to fix it if it doesn't work. And I don't want what's new, I want what's tried and true. That's me as an introvert. I don't want new, I want tried and true. Because when it breaks, I need someone to fix it, right? Or I need to know how to fix it. So the Avery monster for the technology can get in the way if every shiny object you're pressing buy now. And it's like, you don't even know, learn how to use one system really well. That's it. You don't need all these other things. Learn how to use what you've got, leverage your investment and get help so that, you know, every time they come up, you're not going buy now. I already got my system. I'm committed and I'm loyal.
Nice.
Then we have Gurky. He's so excited. Loves his business. It's doing so well. All by himself. Now he knows he needs to grow. And he knows there's others who also serve his demographic. What keeps him from growing is he never believes he's big enough. So Gurky knows I need some partners, I need to collaborate, but my list is small, my business is small, I haven't been doing it that long. And Gurky is the credibility monster. If we don't feel that we're big enough, good enough for others, right, then we stay small. I kick Gurky to the curb by reaching out and finding folks like you that are serving my client base. And it's intentional because I know I can add value to your market, to your people. And it's all about giving. And until you feel credible, just start giving, but find the right groups of people who also serve your market, tap into them, get to know the moderators and the owners of the group, and find ways to collaborate. You can't work with everybody. You only can work with a few. So why not share your talents in groups where they live, work, and play?
Nice.
And then my last one, she's my networking monster. See, doesn't she look like a pillow?
She does.
And she will keep you at the house. Faye says, you don't need to go. Just stay here with me. You know, we don't like being in those events anyway, and they're shoving cards in your face. You know, you're just going to go get your hors d'oeuvres and sit in the back. You could do that at the house. And now that we have Zoom, you don't have to go at all. So the Faye monster says, I say, looky here, Faye, I'm going to go because I want to be around some people and I want to have some fun. So now it's not about me. I go to have fun, eat the food, shake some hands, kiss some babies, you know. Sometimes I show up like it's my party. And I just find out, so what brings you here today? And I'm going to show up where I know my people are going to be. Because now I have something to talk about. Why would I show up in a room of people that I have absolutely nothing in common? I'm a snob. So I'm going to go be where my people are. And let's talk about what's working for you. You know, what's the greatest challenge you've had in your business? I may not even be looking for new business. I might be looking for some friends. So set a goal. Why am I going? Go meet 3 new people. And if they give me a card, give them my card. Make sure that I have a way to follow up with those I want to, right? So I own the moment. And those are my marketing monsters.
Those are so cool.
They are, but aren't they relevant? Like,
oh, absolutely. Yes. I mean, I think I can relate to every single one of them.
At one time or another, they show up and then we go, you know, I want to grow. But how do I do that? Because I don't want to be everywhere. Then pick where you want to be and just show up on a consistent basis.
Nice.
Yeah.
I really like also that you identify that introverts are snobs. And to be honest, as I have a tendency to be, I've felt like I've been a snob with regards to, you know, identifying, you know, I don't work with people like this. I had someone actually message me. I'm doing a summit. I did one at the beginning of April. I'm doing it again in July. And someone reached out to me to say that he was interested in being on the summit. And instead of just saying, okay, sounds great, looks like you've got great credentials, I was like, no, let's meet first because I want to make sure that it's a good fit. You know, I don't want to just take someone just because they're interested and, you know, and might be able to bring however many people they'll be able to bring. But it's got to be, you know, something that feels good, you know, and maybe that's part of that introversion in that, you know, because I've spent so much time getting to know who I am, the people that I enjoy being around, and vice versa, the people who enjoy being around me, you know, I don't say yes to everybody. In fact, I say no to a lot of people. As far as Facebook friends, I say far more no's to people than I say yeses to people, partly because of all those ridiculous friend requests from Bambi and wherever she is. And but also just because, you know, if it's not a good fit, you know, I want to have relationships that mean something to me, right? You know, if managing these relationships is both, you know, both rewarding, which very often times is, but it can also be draining, you know? And so by just saying yes to everybody means that I'm also saying yes to a lot of people that likely will be draining my energy rather than boosting my energy.
You bring up such a great point because introverts are great in relationships. We cherish our relationships. We don't take them lightly. And so we have to stay true to who we are and invest the time in those relationships. And like you say, if people reach out to you to want to connect, do the research, find out who they are. And I get friend requests too. I'm like, who? No, that doesn't even make sense. And then you wonder, why did you even reach out to me?
Yeah.
And the LinkedIn folks kill me with the, you know, they give you this whole spiel about who they are. And it's like, that doesn't help me. You're just trying to generate a sale, but you don't really care about me because you didn't tell me why you felt like I was the one, right? So I am so with you. And and on the flip side, once we do make that connection, do we nurture them? Or we just put them on the list and talk to you when I talk to you, right? And one of the things that I find most frustrating is when people want to join my group and then they have nothing more to say. And I can't get them to engage, interact, anything. So I totally hear you. And that's what makes us even more snobbish. It's like, oh, wait a minute. If you're not going to engage in my group, then why are you here? Just to suck up information and not to share. And we want that reciprocal conversation. We want that reciprocal relationship. You give, I give, you get, I get. But when people aren't willing to do that, it's kind of defeating, and it does drain the energy.
Yeah. That's a really interesting point. It's one of the reasons that unless I just directly invite someone that I know into my group, I have a series of questions that I ask people before they actually join the group. And I don't say yes to everybody. It's a selective group because I want people that are going to fit, and hopefully they'll engage, right? That they'll share their story. And it doesn't have to be, you don't have to be the most verbose person, you don't have to do a lot. You just engage a little bit, say hi, say, that resonates with me, that, I'm wondering about this, or I'm struggling with that, or whatever, but, just kind of be yourself. And that reminds me of, one of the comments that I hear a lot is, when I talk to people about writing books and so forth, one of the comments they say is, first of all, I know that they really enjoy reading, and they really might even love writing, but they say, I don't know what to say, I don't know what to write about, which honestly was part of the struggle that I had, and to some degree still do, with, marketing myself and getting my message out there. Is, what do I have to say? What is it? I've oftentimes been given the comment that I'm a quiet person. In fact, I think you have said that to me before. But, and I can be. I can also be really talk a lot. But when you're introverted entrepreneur coaches are struggling for something to say, something to share, what do you have to help them find the right words or how to express themselves?
I got to tell you, when I started my business years ago, I was a virtual assistant. And because that was my background, I was an executive assistant for 20 years and went into my business. And I said, I could do this from home. And so finding that the coaching industry totally understood virtual assistants because they were all over the world and they couldn't always find talent to support their business where they were locally. So being a virtual assistant was perfect for me, that I could find different people who had needs for the services I was willing to provide. But then I said, I want a deeper relationship with these folks. I really like working with coaches. And let me just say, my second group of people I love working with are chefs. I love the cooking industry. So my favorite channels, right? So in my third chapter, I'm going to become a chef. But anyway, so for coaches, I was like, I really like these people. I need to know more about them. And I became immersed in the coaching industry. And then I went to coach training because I said, there's something missing for them. And I want to understand what that missing piece is. Well, what it was is the missing piece was for me. I didn't understand what they didn't know until I went to coach training. And I said, so when do we get to the part where we talk about, building the business? Oh, no, we don't teach that. I was a loss for words. I said, how are you going to teach them to do the business, but not how to run the business? Kim, you just need to work along with, they were like, take me to the side, take me in the back room. So I was like, oh my goodness, you're not teaching them how to run their business. You're just teaching them how to do the business. They, yeah. Well, where do they learn how to run the business? Okay. So now I understood what for me, I kept saying, why don't they know how to do this? When I went to coach training, I understood. So I came away with a different set of awareness. So now I have deeper relationships with my clients because I understand that they don't know this. So if I'm going to provide the assistance they need for running their business, right, that's the part that they don't have. But now I can also help them with their marketing, because the marketing is what? The part of the business they're not learning. And it just became that it helped me to develop deeper relationships with my clients, and they stick around. Right. So now I don't have to learn new people. I can just continue to work with the ones I really love and know that I can give them a deeper relationship than anyone else.
So what I'm hearing is, one, get to know your market, get to know your audience. I mean, if you're going to be a snob, be a really compassionate, loving snob that, really creates a great experience for your people, but also in finding what to say, find one, what's missing, if they don't have marketing training, provide that. But also even bigger than that, what I hear you saying is that, it's about listening. It's not just about, going out there and blah, 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 getting out there and saying a bunch of stuff. It's first of all, getting really listening well, so you know what it is that you have to say, which seems a little bit counterintuitive, that you learn to what your message is not by going out there and just blabbing a bunch of stuff, but by going out there and listening to your audience.
That is so, I'm doing a special interest group through the ICF, my local chapter. And it's involved with creating your first 30-day signature program from hello to ka-ching. And they signed up for this. I know they did this on blind faith, because once we got into the program, and I said to them, we need to find the voice of your customer. And that starts with a list of 10 voices your customer says, not what you say, but what is the dilemma your client or prospect has, and what is the voice that keeps them from moving forward. When they went through that exercise and came out on the other end after a little bit of coaching, they were like, wow. I said to them, I'm here to tell you, this list of 10 is going to help you with your marketing message. It's going to help you with the design of your program. And it's going to help you with how you know you're going to help your clients. That thing there, it took 2 weeks, but they've got some amazing list. I'm so excited for what we're going to do going forward. But if you don't know the voice of your customer, nothing else matters. They don't care what you got to say. You got to tap into where they are and understand what they want to do. And when you can do that, you're golden money.
Nice.
Introverts, extroverts, everybody can do this. Just be willing. Extroverts, just slow down a little bit. Just put the brakes on for a minute. Take the time, like you said, and actively listen for the voice of your client.
Nice. Well, thank you, Kim, for sharing your monsters with us, sharing your heart with us, sharing your wisdom with us.
Thank you for letting me do that.
Absolutely. So I have 2 questions for you. One, where can people connect with you and hear more of your story?
Okay. Well, I'm a snob. And, I have the Marketing Monsters Academy, and that is an invitation-only membership site. So they can go to myfirstcoachingclient.com and learn more about it. But again, I'm very specific about who gets included into the Marketing Monsters Academy.
Nice. And secondly, in your experience, what makes for a richer story?
Wow. You know, I'm still combing through the stories of my life
Mm,
and trying to find just the right ones to tell that complement what I'm doing in my business. Because a lot of times the stories in my life do connect to my business and who I am in my business. Like I said, I can't wait to share sitting on the dock of the bay with
mm,
our world of difference Toastmasters. You guys are gonna fall on the floor. But it's so relevant to who I am, you know, the patience that I have and the empathy that I have with people who suffer with different mental illnesses.
mm,
So I think you just tap into what makes you you and then find that story that's relevant and can drive that point home for you.
mm. Nice. Thank you for sharing your rich story with us, Kim. And to our listening audience, we wish you all the light in the world.
Definitely. Thank you, Steve.
Bye-bye.